Hi there, it's Tracy here from the Papercraft Studio. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to show you how to make my Christmas Greenery fun fold card. So this is how it stands, kind of a Z fold card, I guess. That's what it is. But yes, it's using this gorgeous suite here called Traditions of Christmas. So I'm using the Christmas Greenery stamp here. And I'm using the coordinating dies. I'm also using these little sequins, which are called traditional sparkling sequins, and this gorgeous paper here. And I'll just show you some that I have left. This has been out of stock for a little while. I think I might have shown you this before, but look at that. Isn't it just beautiful? And then we've got some plain kind of patterns on the other side. So this side has all got a little gold shimmer. So it's cherry cobbler, it's real red, it's pool party. What's this? Is this old olive? I think it is. And secret sea. But it's just gorgeous, isn't it? So there's one missing, but I think I've used it all up on my cards. But yes, it's back in stock, I think on the 17th of November. As always, if you want to order any of the products that I'm showing, there'll be a link to my shop showing that product just below in the description bar. Right, anything else on there? I'm also using this gorgeous gold ribbon, which again I believe is out of stock at the moment, but it will come back in. This was called gold striped mesh ribbon. So it's quite delicate, and I've used that just behind up here, comes out slightly down here. And the Sending Christmas Wishes was from Pine Tree Trimmings. So this is the one that goes with the shaker domes. This set here, the dies match the shaker dome. So yeah, it's just this little one, Sending Christmas Wishes, up there. But you could use it as a winter birthday as well. So let me show you the supplies you need. You need a piece of, I'm storing it all in these are our new Stampin' die holders. I can't think of the word. Pockets, I guess. So this is what our stamp sets will be coming in shortly, and I'll show you in another project. But it's really handy for me keeping all this together, actually. So just covered my notes with that. You need a piece of thick basic white cardstock. This measures 4 1/8 by 11 inches. You need a piece of cherry cobbler. This measures 5 1/4 by 3 7/8. Another piece of cherry cobbler that measures 2 1/2 inches by 3 7/8. And another piece of cherry cobbler which measures 3 3/4 by 3 inches. You need a basic white layer. This measures 3 5/8 by 5 inches. Another basic white layer. This measures 3 1/2 inches by 2 3/4 inches. You need a scrap to stamp this beautiful flower on, or arrangement, which I've already gone ahead and done. You need a piece of the designer series paper, and this measures 2 1/4 by 3 5/8. And then finally you need a scrap of gold foil for this little sprig here. Now the die is actually pretty huge. Here, and there's a die to cut this flower up as well. So I didn't need all of that behind, so I'm actually just going to die cut a little section of this. So very simple to put together. Let me show you how. I'm going to leave that up in the corner. So we're going to score this piece in half. Just going to bring in my scoreboard. So along the 11-inch side, we're going to score this at 2 3/4 inches and at 5 1/2 inches. Very simple. And you could do this with all sorts of papers, and as long as you've got something, you know, quite decent to put on the front, quite, you know, big, then, you know, it's a great style of card. So I've scored that in half and burnished it, and then I'm just going to fold it back on this score line here, and that gives us our Z fold. Okay, so then on this card, it's mainly a case of layering up. So this one here is going to stick in the back, and as always, we've got a little border all the way around. So I'm just going to use some liquid glue here to pop this layer on. I don't normally kind of go for the poinsettia stamps, but I just really loved the selection in this bundle, but also that it also cuts out, a lot of the dies cut out the designer series paper as well. So for example, sorry, now I'm going a bit astray here, there's a die to cut out each of these, so it just makes it really easy to make some really pretty cards. Right, I digress. This one we're going to again layer on here, and you could stamp something on this layer if you wanted to. Because I've put sending Christmas wishes on the outside, I did have in my class a from our house to yours, but obviously it's not always appropriate for everyone, and I didn't really know what else would go in there, so nice space to write, but just bear in mind, you know, you need to be covering with this piece. Okay, so then we're going to get the kind of medium-sized piece of no, we're not. We're going to get the smaller size piece. So this one measures of cherry cobbler 2.5 inches by 3 7/8, and this one's going to layer on the front. So obviously I've designed this so that all the red layers line up and all the other layers too. It's not just thrown together, you know. Okay, so this one on the front. Line that up a bit better. I'm trying to do this in between rain showers, and I'm doing it at night, so it's quite dark, so I will you know, bear with me with the shadow. Okay, so you can decide on this piece which way round you want here, because some of it's going to be hidden by this piece. So I may turn that round. I think I'll get to see a bit more. Yeah, I'm going to go this way. So just have a little look before you stick this layer down. I cannot believe how fast Christmas is approaching. I love it. I love the build up to Christmas, but it is going a bit fast even for me. Okay, on this little piece here, we're going to stamp Sending Christmas Wishes right in the bottom corner here. Just going to get my cherry cobbler ink. So like I said, there's both cherry cobbler and real red in this paper, which is quite unusual actually. Right, I'm going to stamp without getting my head in right in the bottom right corner. Pop that away because I will put my elbow in it. Right, so we need to layer these two together. Again, just with some liquid glue. So just the border around again. Okay, when you come to stick this on, you can stick it on straight, or you can go offset like that. I tend to prefer this, but I know some of you prefer straight. But yes, you can choose when we get to that stage. Okay, colouring. I took the lead actually from the papers. So I'm using light Pool Party, light Cherry Cobbler, light Old Olive, dark Old Olive, and light Bubble Bath, which isn't actually in the, I don't think it's actually in the cardstock, but it was the closest I could find to the DSP. So I've used the fine end on all of these because I didn't want it, oh, I can't get the lid off, to be too full on. So, and I'm not actually, with all of them, colouring right to the top. I'm just kind of, it's really sketchy colouring actually. But of course you can go to the top if you want to on each of these, and it will all dry a bit lighter anyway. As I've said before, my talent doesn't really lie with the amazing colorists we have as demos, but you know, it's fine. We do our best. On these little sprig bits, I'm just doing a little kind of sketchy, as it is in the picture actually. There are some dies actually to colour this in, not dies, sorry, stamps to stamp on each of these elements and colour them in, but I just wanted to use the blends for my class. Okay, and then with some of the leaves I'm going to do a little bit of the dark old olive. Oops, stay in the lines. You can obviously take your time. So just going up some of the pieces of leaves, and obviously this will make more sense when I've put the other colour on top. But it's quite a sketchy design anyway, so if you don't get it coloured quite as you like, it really won't matter because it looks like it's meant to be. Okay, I think that's all the dark for now. And then before that dries, I'm just going to come in with the, oh, actually I'm going to do the light end, the smaller end, the light old olive, and just blend this in a bit just by circling over so that there's no join. That's the beauty of our blends. That it just literally gives a bit of tone. And you can go over with the same colour. You don't have to do the dark one. You could go over again and again with the light old olive, and it would give you the tone anyway. But you can see it just gives a little bit of difference. And like I say, I'm not great at this, but you don't have to be. Okay, and then on to Pool Party. If you don't have quite these colours at home, use what you have. Use something similar, but it's always good to invest in some blends, I find, because you really will use them. So like, for example, on this one, I'm going to go over this leaf again and then down here a little bit, and this will just give me a little bit more tone on there. Okay, and then finally the poinsettia, and you can use the darker cherry cobbler as well if you want, but I'm probably going to I'm going to go around the outlines first, and then I'm just going to go over with the same pen. Just trying to be really careful here because obviously it's much darker than the other colours. I think that's a little leaf there under that bit. I think. Or it could have, no, I think it is a leaf. Okay, so now I've got the outline done, I'm really just going to colour in. And I'm just going to go over this middle bit a little bit more, just to give it a bit of definition. So the rain's coming down a bit heavier now. I'm hoping you can't hear it too much. Hopefully you'll just hear mainly me. Okay, so there's a die for this one as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And then while I'm there, I'm going to cut, like I say, just a little sprig of this. I'm going off the side. So this is about, it's about 2 inches wide, this piece of gold foil. And yeah, I'm going to pop that through and I'll be right back once I've cut this out as well. Okay, pop that out, pop my little sprig. Right, where's my card? Got this all back in the corner. Okay, so you can go ahead and stick that on now, or you can pop this all together first. One thing we do need is to cut our ribbon. So I'm going to cut 7.5 inches. I have to be a little bit thrifty with this one because I had 2 reels, but I needed it to go. I have 70 ladies coming to my class, so it's obviously quite a lot. I have to make sure everyone has enough. So on this occasion, I normally do a whole big loop thing, but on this occasion I'm just going to loop the very top and then stick it on here, so you just have one piece trailing. So I'm going to stick this on first actually, and I'm going to use dimensionals. Okay, so when you're sticking this on, just be careful, because obviously we don't want any dimensionals showing on this piece under here. So flip it over, and I'm going to put them just down this edge here. Gosh, that rain's getting heavy. I hope you can't hear it too much. And then not too far over actually, kind of about there. Take the backings off. Come on. As always, it's video, so I've just done my nails. They're a little bit shorter than normal. Makes it harder to get these off. Such relief when it's done though, because I don't have to worry about that for another 2 weeks. Job done. Okay, so I'm popping this on at a bit of an angle, and you still see plenty of that lovely, lovely paper here. And actually I didn't want it to be too busy. How cute is that? So you could have that up higher if you wanted, but I'm going diagonally. So first of all, I'm going to get my glue dots and do a little, our usual thing where I flip the ribbon and stick it down. Okay, so I've just pulled one off with my pokey tool here, and I'm just looping that over about, not sure how much that is. I'm going to take that off for a second. There we go. So I want the end to come out down here. So, but I also want it to come quite far up there. So I'm going to say about here. Come on, stop playing ball. It's quite, it's quite, what's the word? Wiggly, this ribbon. I don't know how to describe it. Right, show it who's boss. Here we go. Once the other bit's in place, it will stop bouncing around quite so much. So I'm going to pin it with a glue dot about here. And because it's mesh, it might just stick through the whole bit of your design anyway, under there. Okay, so I'm going to pop some more dimensionals on the back of here. To prop it up nicely. And don't worry, we're going to tuck this one in afterwards. I just want to see where it all lies first. Ooh, stuck to it all. Okay, is that the way? Is that the way? You can choose. So, beautiful, beautiful. Hiding that join there, having a little bit coming out, and then we're just going to pop the sprig in up here. If it's too big, if you don't want it coming out quite as much, or if your dimensional's in the way, just trim a little bit off. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. So I'm just going to put a little glue dot just on the back of the base down here, because it doesn't need a lot to pin it in place. That just hides under there. And then of course we need some bling. So here we go. We've got this beautiful, these beautiful, what are they called? Festive sequins or something like that, weren't they? So I'm going to put a gold one, medium gold one, in the middle of my poinsettia, because, you know, that's the star of the show. I'm going to put a medium, I think they're actually real red, but you know what? It doesn't show against the cherry cobbler here. And then one of the gold. And there we have it, my Christmas Greenery Z-fold card. I hope you enjoy making that. Take care, see you soon, bye.